Hello, I'm Ms. McManus, teacher librarian at MLK Middle School. I'm here to share some of my favorite books with you. While each of these characters has his or her own unique story to tell, all of these books deal with themes of loneliness, friendship, and empathy. I hope you enjoy them as much as I did. Lily and Duncan by Donna Gephardt. Lily Joe is not my name, yet, but I'm working on that. That's why I'm in the closet, literally in my mom's walk-in closet, with Meatball at my heels. I scratch under Meatball's chin, and his tiny pink tongue pokes out of the side of his mouth. He's adorable like that. Practice, I tell Meatball. Only 6 days until school starts. I have to do this. I can't. Have to. Can't. I almost feel my best friend, okay, my only friend, dare push me toward the dresses. I take the dress and hold it to me, loving the feel of the fabric in my hands, imagining myself wearing it. Half of me is so excited I could explode. Feels good to finally be doing this. The other half, where other people's voices jam together in my brain, is terrified. Excited, terrified. Yep, those are the right words. I take off my pajamas and let the dress slide over my body and head. The silky feelings feel so smooth against my skin. It's hard to get the zipper up the back. I remember trying on my sister Sarah's dresses when I was little, Mom and Dad laughing as I twirled around. Now Mom and Sarah only smile when I wear the dresses. Dad doesn't accept me as Lily yet. I'm scared no one at school will either. But the other day when I was out in front of my house, wearing a dress in public for the first time, a boy actually looked at me and smiled and waved. A boy! He was carrying a bag of Dunkin' Donuts. He got a little bounce in his step and smiled a little bigger when I smiled back and waved. I have a feeling we're going to be friends. Fish in a Tree by Linda Mullally Hunt. Allie has a secret. She learns differently than everyone else. She's always created trouble to get out of class and keep her secret. After 7 schools, she knows all the tricks to get out of class and sent to the principal's office. But our new teacher, Mr. Daniels, is different. He invites her to play chess after school. He talks with her. He tells her, everybody is smart in different ways. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its life believing it is stupid. Allie is lonely. She says, well, alone is a way to be. It's being by yourself with no one else around. It can be good or bad, and it can be a choice. But being lonely is never a choice. It's not about who you are with or not. You can feel lonely when you're not alone, but you can feel lonely when you're a room full of people, or full of people you're still alone, or you feel like you are anyway. Albert is obsessed with facts and science. Like Allie, he has a secret too. He comes to school every day with bruises. Allie becomes friends with Albert and another classmate, Keisha, and learns about bravery and standing up for friends and herself. Front Desk by Kelly Yang. 10-year-old Mia Tang was so excited to move to the Cala Vista Motel, a small rundown motel in Anaheim, California. Her parents were hired as the motel managers, and she'd be able to help them. She'd be only 5 miles from Disneyland. Her family could move out of the 1-bedroom apartment, which has still been a step up from the car they'd been living in when they first came to America. Her dad could quit his cooking job, which he always came home from tired with blisters on his arms from oil popping in the wok all day. They'd moved from China, and so far, America hadn't felt like the land of the free like her mom had said it would be. She kept telling Mia, it's freer here. But Mia felt lonely and missed her cousins. Everything was so expensive and hard. She didn't have friends her age because she spent all her time helping at the motel. She wasn't allowed to swim in the motel's pool because of the mean owner, Mr. Yao. But she could make friends with the residents who lived full-time at the motel, like the kind and funny Hank. Maybe things wouldn't be so bad in California after all. Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan. Willow Chance is always looking for patterns. She finds comfort in counting by sevens, in diagnosing rare medical conditions and people around her. She loves reading about galaxies and space to help her calm down when she's feeling sad or anxious. She says that by reading, I'm putting my place in the universe into perspective. I'm stardust, I'm golden brown, I'm just one small bit in a vast expanse. Willow meets her quirky school counselor, Del Duke, when the principal accuses her of cheating on a standardized test, which of course she hadn't, because her score was so unusually high. Del was not a good counselor. He knew that. He was a hoarder and messy, but he cared. He put the kids he saw into 4 groups of the strange: the misfits, the oddballs, the lone wolves, and the weirdos. Willow chance broke his system, not fitting into any of the categories for the troubled kids who usually saw him. Although he thought at once she was super strange. She didn't like him much at first, and was certain she could beat him at chess in fewer than 6 moves. He surprised her with his knowledge about lemurs, and she surprised him, leading him to create a 5th category for students: genius. Willow left their first meeting after the cheating accusation, believing he somehow needed her. She liked that feeling. She didn't know she would also come to need him. Despite her astronomical intelligence and ability to understand the world around her, she hadn't been able to connect with other people, other than her very loving adoptive parents. And as Willow was meeting with Mr. Duke, her parents suddenly both died in a horrific crash. So Willow looked for patterns, for meaning to cope. For someone grieving, moving forward is the challenge, because after extreme loss, you want to go back. Willow knows that going back isn't an option, so she bravely tries to go forward in the world with her new friend May, and May's kind mother Patty, and brother Kwan Ha. Patty even volunteers to let Willow live with them, but because the family lives in a small garage behind the nail salon, they all move into Counselor Dell's larger apartment. Will she be able to stay with her new family or be forced into a group home? Will Willow find happiness with her new, somewhat strange family? Find out in Counting by Sevens. Each Kindness by Jacqueline Woodson. Have you ever done something you regret and wish you could make it better? When was the last time you were kind to someone? How do you treat others in your class? Have you ever met or maybe even been a bully? Maya is a new student in Chloe's class. She shows up each day in dirty, worn clothes and the same shoes. At first, she tries to make friends with Chloe and her other classmates. She smiles, she brings little games like jacks and invites others to play, but they won't smile back. They refuse to play with her. Maybe because she's poor, maybe because she's a stranger, maybe because she's different. Gradually, Maya stops asking others to play. She stops smiling at others first, and because no one thinks to smile at her, she never smiles at all at school. One day, she's not in her desk. She doesn't come to school anymore. And Chloe starts to wonder about how she chose to act and whether she could have chosen kindness. Do you realize that each act of kindness matters? How will your acts of kindness or choices to not be kind ripple out into the world? The Seventh Most Important Thing by Shelley Pearsall. On a bitter November day in Washington, D.C., when everything felt metallic, when the sky was gray and the wind stung and the dry leaves were making death rattle sounds in the alleys, 13-year-old Arthur Owens picked up a brick from the corner of a crumbling building and threw it at an old man's head. It wasn't an accident. The brick didn't topple off the decrepit building. It didn't fall from the heavens. Arthur Owens grabbed the brick with his own hands. He held it for a minute, noticing the cold weight of it. And then he raised his arm and flung it at the old trash picker known as the junk man, who was pushing a rusty grocery cart down the street. The brick hit the man hard in the arm and sent him crumpling down to the ground, hurt. Arthur wasn't a bad boy, really, but he was angry. He had reasons to be angry. He had no friends, he was poor, his mom was the only person in the world who cared about him, and she was always working so hard. Most importantly, his dad had recently died, and his mom threw away the only thing he had left that belonged to his dad, an old hat that he now saw the junk man wearing. But the judge just saw an angry young boy and wanted to send Arthur to juvenile hall for a long time for hitting the junk man in the arm with that brick. Arthur was about to go to jail until the man who he'd hit, the junk man, talked the judge into sentencing Arthur to 120 hours of community service working for the junk man. Arthur almost wished he'd just been sent to juvie. Now, every Saturday morning, he had to use a rusty old shopping cart to rummage through other people's trash and look for the 7 most important things from the junk man's list: glass bottles, cardboard, foil, wood, coffee cans, mirrors, and light bulbs. What was the junk man going to do with all of this garbage? Arthur soon discovers some angels are like peacocks, others are less flashy like city pigeons, and it all depends on the wings. Follow Arthur and the junk man as they learn to transform the trash of life into art. Invisible Emmy by Terry Liebinson. There are a whole lot of books about kids who are outcasts. I probably read them all. Usually the story goes something like this. Part 1. The main character is weird. Crazy eyes, smart, glasses to prove smartitude, beanie to prove nerdity. Part 2. The character gets picked on. Part 3. The character gets revenge, or turns the situation around so that lessons are learned. Along the way, the character picks up 1 or 2 equally geeky friends, so he or she isn't alone. It's all good, but what about books starring other kinds of kids? You know, the ones who aren't exactly weird or smart, the ones who are maybe heroes in waiting. What if this hero isn't picked on? What if the hero just goes unnoticed? Emmy Douglas is 13 and in 7th grade. She's very quiet and spends most of her time drawing. She's really good at it and has lots of time to draw alone because her parents are always gone at work. Emmy has one best friend, Brianna, who she's known since kindergarten, which is also when her legendary crush on cute as a button Tyler Ross began. Katie is also in 7th grade at Lakefront Middle School and is the opposite of Emmy. She has long, shiny hair, gets hundreds of texts a day, and her many friends describe her as smiley, friendly, and athletic. Emmy would be happy to go through middle school totally unnoticed. But one day at lunch, she and Brianna decide to write gushy love notes as a joke to their crushes, never intending to show it to them. The crushes don't even know they're alive. And on her way to her next class, Emmy's note falls out of her backpack and is discovered by Katie. Will Emmy find the courage to let others see how awesome she is? Will Tyler find out about her epic crush? Will she and Katie be friends? Can an invisible girl survive middle school? Find out in Invisible Emmy. Thank you for listening to my book talk.